stories. Local news that matters to you. Tampa Bay 28 News starts now.
I literally felt like I was dying for months.
My daughter coughed consistently for the last 2-3 years.
I had pneumonia for 2 months.
For 2 months?
For months, I-Team investigative reporter Kylie McGivern has been uncovering how mold inside housing on MacDill Air Force Base has been impacting our military families here in Tampa Bay. And now, because of her continued efforts to hold a housing contractor accountable, we are seeing results. And Kylie joins me right now as we kick off this half hour of Tampa Bay 28 News at 4. And Kylie, thanks to your reporting, this issue went all the way up to the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth. Are they taking action on this now?
Well, it's good to know he is aware of this. I mean, this is something we've been reporting on here locally with MacDill. There are issues at other bases as well, but this is where our focus is. And really, who I want to bring into this conversation is Congressman Gus Bilirakis. The reason why I reached out to him, Paul, is because years ago, he had called on for a congressional inquiry into this issue. He had been interviewed about this when there was a different lawsuit and other concerns about mold on MacDill. So I went to him in the fall and said, are you aware that this is still a problem? We have families that are coming to us. He was not. He said, I thought all of this was taken care of. So after we sat down with him, and specifically after he saw our video of the mold, he said, I'm bringing this to the Secretary of Defense. He needs to know about this. And he said they met last week, and that he is hoping for, basically this is someone who has his own military background. And so that there is extra push when it comes to some of this. He also, not only that, met with the Secretary of the Air Force, and just there is already a knowledge, but to have even more of those conversations after the congressman went back and visited MacDill again after our story, it adds some more timeliness is what it sounds like.
And just to remind everyone on your reporting, when we say black mold and we see the pictures, that's one thing, but they were feeling health effects from this. I mean, they were sick.
And that is what led to a lawsuit that we are now following. Just to give everyone an idea who may not be tapped into this, 39 families. And that is at this point. That number could grow. But what we're talking about is just the concerns not only for the service members, but then their families, children. I mean, there's a whole age range here. And so it's very serious allegations, and a lot of family who, even in my own personal experience, are describing very similar things.
Well, I know you'll stay on top of this as it continues to develop. Kylie McGivern, thank you so much for your reporting. And this update, by the way, is just another example of our I-Team's dedication to holding people accountable, following through on the issues that matter to you. So if you need help getting answers and solving your problems, just scan the QR code on our screen. Kylie and the rest of our I-Team are always here to listen to your concerns.
I'm Stephanie Liebergen in Washington with a look at our headlines this half hour. The American Academy of Pediatrics is losing millions in federal funding after the Trump administration terminated several grants. Health officials say the programs don't align with administration priorities. Now, the cuts will impact funding for programs reducing sudden infant death, rural healthcare access, and early autism identification. The organization, representing 67,000 pediatricians, says it's exploring legal options. And Pope Francis has appointed a new Archbishop of New York. 58-year-old Bishop Ronald Hicks will take over one of the most influential positions in the American Catholic Church. Now, Hicks has extensive experience in Latin America, including Mexico and El Salvador. So his appointment could signal a more vocal stance from U.S. bishops on immigration issues. Hicks replaces Cardinal Timothy Dolan, who turned 75 this year. And Powerball's jackpot is soaring again after no one won Wednesday night's drawing. Now, Friday's drawing is now estimated to be $1.5 billion. That's close to the record set earlier this year, or the record for this year, which was over $1.7 billion. But that was not won by a single person. That jackpot money was split. So if somebody wins the $1.5 billion this weekend, they would end up walking away with more money. But the odds of winning remain the same. They are just 1 in 200.
All right, let's talk about the weather out there today as we bring in meteorologist Allie Blake. Sometimes you get the sunshine, and every now and then you get a cloudy, kind of wet day.
Yeah, Paul, originally when I moved to Florida, my aunt said you're going to actually wish for cloudy days every once in a while so that you can relax and then not feel guilty for going outside. So we're not feeling guilty today. We are going to enjoy a little bit of some cloud cover, maybe watch some Christmas movies tonight, or as you're lighting the Hanukkah candles, you're enjoying the nicer weather outside. It's pretty mild still, at least. We're in the upper 70s. We're taking a look at a harbor in Davis Island. I've been watching this cruise ship move from out of the port of Tampa Bay. I wish they were taking me on a vacation too, but if you're maybe going on a Christmas cruise this week or this weekend, conditions look great out of Port of Tampa Bay. Normal high for this time of year, 74. That's about where we were. We'll see our sunset come pretty soon, and of course showers continue to push across the area. They'll start to fizzle on out with our cold front. I'll track out, of course, when we'll finally get some breaks from the rain coming up in your full 7-day forecast. Yay!
Some priorities might surprise you. Data drives so many choices in our lives, including how to budget our personal expenses and how businesses might position themselves. New data from LLC Attorney, a consulting firm that helps businesses, looked at where consumers will spend money in the next 5 years. It's not surprising that food dominates the forecast.
The reality is we have to eat. And so we've got tariffs, we've got supply chain issues, we've got an interconnected global economy, even when it comes to food. And there are things that we as Americans are used to having on our dinner tables.
Food spending is projected to climb from $245 billion in 2026 to $389 billion in 2029. That's more than 12% annual growth, fueled by rising demand for home cooking, meal kits, and ready-to-eat options.
Do you need those subscription boxes? Can you cut some of that stuff out? So a lot of it does come down to, well, what can I do? Where am I spending my money? And what matters to me?
Now for the surprise. Tobacco products are the second fastest growing category. Spending on cigars, e-cigarettes, and vapes is expected to increase at around 12% per year, reaching $61.5 billion by 2029. A study this summer by the Cato Institute found even with tax hikes, tobacco users still buy the products. Cigarette consumption is declining, but demand for smokeless tobacco, cigars, and e-cigarettes is growing, according to research and markets.com. When it comes to household essentials like paper goods and cleaning supplies, they're expected to see over 10% annual growth.
And so it really does take a little bit of stepping back and saying, I understand that there's some uncertainty here, and I may have to make some choices and kind of face that reality, which is never very pleasant for any of us.
The projections highlight how unavoidable categories like food and household essentials and even small luxuries are proving resilient amid consumer shifts in an uncertain economy. Holly Furfer, Scripps News Group, Atlanta.
I'm Mallory Safaste in Baltimore. Scammers are promising huge returns as cryptocurrency hit record highs this year. Victims see their balances skyrocket, but then when they try to cash out, that's when the problems begin.
These two investors started small.
Started out with about $2,000.
I decided, why not $500 if it doesn't work? And lo and behold, I made money.
Almost instantly, their investments multiplied.
It seems so easy to make that much money, in that short period of time. And my greed just went into full bloom.
So Karen put in everything she had.
I pretty much invested a lot. I would say maybe over $3 million.
But when they tried to access their money, they hit a wall.
You have to pay some sort of tax in order to pull out. But in order to do that, you have to pay 20-30% of what you made.
Both lost everything.
How much money did they take?
50 grand.
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
Once you fall into that initial trap, it's kind of hard to get out.
So hard, Karen didn't believe the FBI when agents reached out to warn her.
I got an email from the FBI saying, we're seeing a lot of activity with your account, and we think you might be being scammed. And when I first saw the email, I thought it was a scam.
Operation Level Up. So this is an initiative that the FBI started in January of 2024, where we proactively identify victims who are in the midst of being scammed.
FBI Supervisory Special Agent Keith Custer said they're trying to prevent losses, considering how significant they can be.
So the average loss is about $140,000.
And it often starts with a simple message.
Either an accidental text or through social media or sometimes through a dating site. And they'll take whatever amount of time is required to develop a level of trust.
Sometimes for months. Once the money is gone, scammers try again.
They will then contact the victim with what we would call a recovery scheme and purport to be a law firm or another firm that can assist them in unlocking these millions of dollars that don't really exist. It's hard psychologically for a victim to come to grips with, I've just lost everything, and hold on to that little hope that maybe one more transaction can unlock everything and get them back.
The FBI says they've seen successes with Operation Level Up. In less than 2 years, they've saved victims over $400 million in losses. And right now, they're urging anyone considering an investment opportunity to slow down, research the company, talk it over with someone you trust, look for any complaints, and check that they're registered or licensed. With your 12 Scams of Christmas, I'm Mallory Safaste.
Using credit can help you with big purchases, but if you're not careful, bills can pile up. Coming up, I'll tell you tips on how to protect your credit and your money.